Hey everyone, welcome to this week's episode. Look at my new camera. What do you think? Do you think the picture quality looks a bit better? Trying new things, trying it out. So let me know what you think. And I wanted to do this episode. It's about my alien experiences. I figured since I've been on other people's podcasts and spoke on their platforms about my own experiences, I figured I would use my own podcast to go ahead and talk about my alien experiences. July 2020 was my first experience with seeing a UFO, and it all started from there. We decided to go out night fishing. I was with my husband and kids and then some family. And so there were 4 adults and 4 children on the boat. And I think we set out before sunset because I remember the sun setting. And this is back when we lived in Cape Cod. And we decided to fish in the Cape Cod Bay. And so we went out fishing. We had a good night catching fish. We had fun. The weather was completely quiet. There was nothing really going on. It wasn't even choppy out. It was beautiful, smooth waters, which is not very much like New England. It's usually pretty choppy. So it was pretty quiet. And I remember my nephew was the one who first pointed out because he wasn't feeling well, actually. And he asked his dad, he said, I'm feeling seasick. So his dad took him up to the bow of the boat and he was hanging over as if he was going to be sick. And he looked up and he said, "What is that?" And we all looked in the direction that he was looking, which my husband described would be closer to the Plymouth, like Boston area in the direction that we were pointing. And we looked and it was this big black hovering object. And when I tell you, it was huge. It was hard to decipher where it was, if it was, like, over the water or over the land, because it looked far enough that it was over the land, but when I'm telling you this was size of a football field or bigger, it was so big, and we weren't having I think the music was playing low. I don't think we were even idling. We were anchored in fishing, so everything was really quiet. I remember turning off the music once we all realized we were looking at something that we couldn't describe, so we wanted to see if there was any sound coming from it, anything. At all, there was no sound whatsoever, and it was just this black disc shape is the best way to describe it, black disc shape hovering, and we watched it for a while. There was no lights coming from it, anything. We were all in awe. We were just like, "What are we looking at? What is going on? This is crazy. Is this a UFO?" I don't even know if we said that because we were just so concerned. And my husband and my brother-in-law wanted to go chase it down. They wanted to go see what it was doing, and it made me nervous, and I said, "No, no way. No way. I've seen way too many movies and things, and I don't wanna mess around with that." And so we didn't decide to run it down. We had the kids, like, it was too much. And so as we were watching this object, I think we probably stood and watched it for a good 9 to 10 minutes. Like, it was a solid time frame that we were watching this thing. And it would come towards us a little bit closer, not where it was, like, anywhere, like, over us or anything like that. It would come towards us, and we were like, "Is it getting bigger? Is it coming towards us?" And then it would back away and to almost disappear. And it did that 3 different times in that 9 to 10-minute time frame that we were watching it. We're like, "Wait, it's back." And then it would back away again, and it was moving slowly in the fact that it wasn't like lightning speed, it wasn't disappearing in an instant. It was just like gradually going away, coming back. My niece and I are the only ones that have the memory of this, but her and I saw this together, but no other persons on the boat saw it, or nobody else saw it like the fact that we did. We actually saw the craft morph. So it was cylindrical shape, like I had said, and then we saw it go into an inverted L and then back into the dish shape. And both her and I we asked at that moment, did anybody see that? And her and I saw it, but nobody else saw it like that. Explain that to me. I don't understand how two people could see it one way and the rest don't. It was interesting. So once we saw it disappear for the last time, we said, you know what, let's go ahead and pack up. Let's call it a night with our fishing. And we pulled the anchor in, we got on, and we're watching for lobster buoys as we're heading back, lobster traps and things like that, because you can get your propeller stuck in the lobster traps pretty good. And let me grab some more water. And as we're going back again, my nephew, I guess he's the spotter for it or whatnot, he was looking up at the stars as we were going back because the stars were out. It was beautiful. And I'm sorry, I guess I didn't explain that. When we saw this UFO, it was right at dusk. So there was still like that orange hue on the horizon. And it was like if you looked up directly, it was dark, but everything else had this like orangey hue because the sun was still giving that reflection. But the sun had already gone down. And that's where we saw it, right above the horizon of that orange hue. Okay, so we're on our trip back. And my nephew was looking up at the stars and he said he saw a star that just disappeared into the atmosphere, like completely gone out into outer space. So stars don't really do that. So that was the end night of that. I have had experiences where my husband has, that's his story to tell. He said he didn't want me to tell any of those. So, okay. So I'm not going to tell those. I've had, when I started having experiences is after seeing that UFO. So I started having vivid dreams that one was I sat down with Dan Aykroyd right after right after this instance happened. I wrote in a journal. This is when I started journaling too. All things spiritual, dream journal, just odd things. And I wrote that I had a vivid dream that I sat down with Dan Aykroyd and we talked about our alien experiences together. Pretty cool. Dan, hit me up if you're watching. So I also started waking with strange markings and strange bruises. I have documented on my Facebook picture and video. I even have a video of it, of where I had this triangular dot like thing. It was 3 perfect cylindrical dots, pretty small, on my shoulder. And they were like perfectly spaced, perfectly cylindrical. It was very odd. And it wasn't one of those marks that went away. If you get a bruise or a scratch in a couple of days' time, it's starting to go away. This lasted, I think, for 2 weeks. I could see it. And it would slowly start fading. I've had odd bruises. I knew that when I started sensing and feeling things in the room. Here, I'll retrace my steps. After we moved from Cape Cod and we moved down to Georgia. After we moved down to Georgia, that's when my gifts of mediumship came to me. I said that I was hit by psychic lightning. I tell it in my book, Divine Dialogue, Conversations with God, the Virgin Mary, and Beyond. Conversations with God, the Virgin Mary, and Beyond. And I remember that when I was sleeping here in my new room in Georgia, and I face these big windows that we have on the second level, but it's almost like 3 stories high because our basement is a walkout. And but we have night shades where it blocks out all the light. Those were closed, and I painted that room a very moody, dark greenish blue. So when I say my bedroom is dark, it's dark. We don't have street lights. We don't have any roads near us. And like I said, I'm almost 3 stories high. So it'd be impossible for something to be that high. We're almost at the tops of our trees. And if anybody knows Georgia pines, they're very tall and we're almost at the top of the trees. So that's how tall it is and high up. And I remember with sleeping one night, that there were these 3 cylindrical lights beaming into my room, and I could see them with my eyes closed while I was sleeping. So my eyes were closed, but you know how you can still see light and images, especially in a dark room, and all of a sudden it's lit up with these lights circling in, I can't remember if it was counterclockwise or clockwise, but they were all different colors. It was 3 different colors and circling in my room. And I just had this knowing that if I was to open my eyes, that I would see something. And I got so scared, like bone chilling scared. Like I did not want to open my eyes. And I finally said, I'm going to open my eyes. I don't know how long this took, maybe a couple of minutes. I opened my eyes. Thank goodness nothing was there. I didn't see anything. The second night comes around, and I had this happen again. I had the circling lights, the bone chilling fear of something's going to be in my room. By that next day, because I had 2 nights interrupted with this light circling and the fear I had, the amount of fear, it was like super fearful. I remember not wanting to go to bed. It was, and I love my sleep. So for me to not want to go to bed, it really freaked me out, guys. Like, it really scared me. So I finally did. The third night I went to bed. I want to say the third night I didn't get anything. Thank goodness. It stopped. But I did have a vivid dream afterwards. And I talked to Linda Moulton Howe about this when I was interviewed by her. That she asked me, usually when you've been visited, you have a vivid dream after. So I looked in my dream journal and I found a vivid dream that I still remember, that I walked in, my husband and I walked into this small diner, and it was built like one of those train diners. It's like just long, a few seats on the one side and then the bar seating, and that's it. It's small. So when I say vivid, that's why I can describe it, and because you feel like you're so there. So I go into the right and I sit down in the booth with my husband, and there's this older woman sitting across from me. And intuitively, I just know that she is there to guide me and help me and be like mm, like a teacher for me. So she told me I have all these gifts that I haven't even tapped into yet, and that she's going to help me harness them. And I explained to her, I said, okay, like that'd be great. And she said, give me your hand. And I hand her my hand. And as she held it, I started looking around the room to the people around the room, and I could see all of a sudden, like their auras, like the color that is vibrant around them was glowing. But not only that, they were all dead eyes and staring at me like creepy. I'm getting the goosebumps just talking about it right now, because I remember panning the room, the diner, and I remember just seeing the auras and the glowing, but the stare that they had was, again, frightening. I love how I've had all these frightening. Not all my experiences have been frightening, but this is one of those. So their auras, they're all glowing different colors, and like, their colors were almost covering their face, but the piercing eyes were just really captivating, and I really remember being like, "Whoa, I don't know if I want this gift, this is too much." And she said, "Okay, that's fine," and she let go of my hand, and it all quieted down. She said, "I'll help you harness this gift without being scared." And I was like, "Okay." So I felt like this was like my mentor, this was my teacher. So she helped me with that. And that was my vivid dream after. And Linda Moulton Howe was asking me, and I wasn't sure at the time. She was asking me if I thought the beings that I was staring at that were people and they had these glowing, she was wondering if that could have been alien. And now that I think about it, I definitely think that could have been. So I've had alien experiences. I've had the bruises. I've had the strange markings. I've had scratches that I can't. I haven't had missed time because of the fact that I've only had them come to me at night. I have had where they definitely, like, when I have alien experiences, they definitely ramp up at a certain time and then they quiet down. And then all of a sudden they'll be interested in me again or whatever it is. They come around again and then they quiet down. So I don't know if anybody else has this with their alien experiences, but when I started writing my book, I said, how am I going to make my book different? Conversations with God is already written. Conversations with the Virgin Mary is already written. And I remember thinking, okay, I have alien experiences. Let me see if I can connect with an alien. So I asked if it was for my highest good and if I could connect to an alien that meant me no harm, like an alien that was for the best of humankind and for myself, to keep myself safe, my family safe. And that's how I ended up connecting to Adam. I named him Adam. I thought he was a gray. I thought he was a small gray at first. And then I thought he was a tall gray, but it turns out that he's actually Arcturian. And I've done some research of Arcturian. I'll show a picture here that what their whole purpose is actually to help all different beings, not just of humanity, but different planets, and to lift consciousness and to elevate people's like vibration and purpose. Like they're to activate like psychic abilities and our metaphysical sides. Like they're very much into healers. They're beautiful beings and they really are here to help us more than hurt us. So Adam the alien. So as I was saying with the auras and changing, that since working with Adam, I've asked a lot of questions. I've talked to the what's it called? The Alien Federation group, the Galactic Federation. I've connected and channeled the Galactic Federation to get answers for certain things. So with connecting to Adam and asking questions, aliens do come down, different species do come down and actually disguise themselves as humans, and they wear almost like a suit of some kind, a human suit, to disguise themselves and blend in with us and do things. There's all different aliens and like what the reasons are that they're here. Most species I find are here to help humanity, help lift our vibrations, help us evolve, help us in our technology advancements, all the things, because we're pretty much way behind. We're still, humankind is still doing a lot of learning as we go forth. And so they're here to help us and here to aid in that. What else has happened? Okay. When I was communicating with Adam for my book, I definitely had ramped up dreams and what I felt were visitations because I would physically hear things in my room when I was sleeping. So what I would hear was almost their portal to get in and out because I ended up asking them what that sound was. And to describe the sound is so interesting. It's like an organic, but electronic sound at the same time. So it sounded like water dropping into a bucket, or those people that can flick their cheek and make that little like bloop sound, like something like that dripping sound, but then also with a bit of static behind it. That was their portal of coming in and out. I would hear it down the hallway. I would hear it in my room physically. I have been visited by other species, and when I have small greys who come, they when the Arcturians come, I get scared. I think I get scared because somebody's walking around your room in the dark and you're trying to sleep. So it's just creepy in general, right? So it's not very inviting. It feels invasive. I think anybody is going to be fearful. So I always get scared, but I always ask them to not let me remember, to please knock me out, to please, and they do. They're very kind about that I don't remember anything. And but the grays, when they come, the small grays, they are funny because I feel like they're almost a little bit clumsier. Does that make sense? Because, and explain to me if you have grays that visit you, because, and these are small grays. When they come, I feel a whole atmospheric change. So with the Arcturians, I don't feel that. I don't feel anything. I just know and sense that they're coming, and I ask them to knock me out. And then that's it. I get a little bit fearful, and then I just gone. But with the small grays, there's this whole like static electric feeling in the atmosphere. It's hard to explain, but it's very like palpable, and you know that they're there. So that's in the sense of why I feel like they're clumsy, and I'll hear like more knocking and things like that. So that's why I say they're clumsy, because I'll hear bumping as if they like bump into things. I don't know. What else can I tell about my alien experiences? I don't feel like I have much more than that to tell. So I'm grateful that when I am able to channel and connect to Adam, he's very respectful. He loves teaching me, he loves teaching us. And the more and more I learn from him, a lot of what I've learned from him, I put in my book. So if you're interested in grabbing that, that's on Amazon. Spiritual Connections by Joelle.co.site. SITE. Okay. So since I have this podcast, since I have this platform, since I am able to connect with aliens, I wanted to share with you my alien experiences from my own platform, so that way I can share for people to feel comfortable to come forward. If they want to talk to me, they are welcome to reach out. I have all my information below, and you can reach out to me if you ever want to tell your story on my podcast. I'd be open to doing that. I also said that I'd be able to give a little bit different of a twist. If you wanted help, I can channel Adam in live time and get answers for you if you have questions of why. You know, a lot of times they know and they have the why, and we have so much fear involved with abductions and experiences and things like that. And so maybe it'll help calm the fear of the things happening to you. So I hope you enjoyed my stories today about my alien experiences. And thank you for listening. And as always, I want to send you love and light.